Ralph Lindeman, thanks for taking the time to answer some questions from fans and alumni. Appreciate it.
Yeah,
Uh,
glad to do it. Excited to do it. I'm kind of bored these days.
I believe that, but let's get that first question out of the way, though. It seems like you're okay. How are you and your family doing and coping during this crisis?
Yeah, everybody's good. We're all healthy. I actually don't know anybody with the COVID virus. My daughter's a school teacher. She teaches for online. My son-in-law works for a local bank and a marketing director, and he works, a lot remotely. Uh, Grandkids are, taking classes online, missing graduation and whatnot. Doing great. It's kind of funny. Every January, February timeframe, I tell the team, I say, I don't want sickness to derail your season. I want you to become overcompensating, psychoneurotic hypochondriacs about washing your hands. And they always laugh, and they hear it every year. So the seniors heard it for the fourth time, and because I don't want a flu or a cold, upper respiratory infection to derail their season, and hopefully they've been doing it. And I tell you, myself and my family are doing it. We're being overcompensating, psychoneurotic hypochondriacs about washing our hands.
That is a long name you have for it. That's great. um, it was such a strange season, though. I mean, I believe the NCAA indoors were not able to go. Is that correct? And then also the entire
Yeah,
outdoors.
we were down in Albuquerque
Yep.
with Michael Rhodes and Maria Mettler, coaching staff, ready to start the championships. Went to the arena at the Albuquerque Convention Center, practiced on Thursday, and Thursday at 3 o'clock, the announcement was made by the NCAA. They're canceling the championships, and we called Michael and Maria down to the hotel lobby and told them and said we're going home. And for Maria, she's got another year. Thank goodness, and for Michael, sadly, that was the end of his career. And shortly thereafter, we heard that the entire outdoor season was canceled, and we still had a little hope for a while, but clearly that it's a setback that everybody's had to deal with, from coaches down to the 100 cadet athletes on our team.
How did the seniors deal with it, though? Because it seemed like such a quick time period from, okay, your career as a track athlete basically is over. And now we're going to get you to graduate even earlier, almost a month earlier than you were supposed to. I'm sure you've talked to a few of them. How did they handle all of that?
We first of all, we drove immediately, got in our vans and drove back from Albuquerque. We got back about midnight on Thursday night, and on Friday we called a team meeting in Fairchild Hall in one of the big lectinars, and to meet with the entire team. Kept our social distancing and so on, but our seniors dealt with it with amazing maturity. And that was a very sad meeting, the saddest meeting I've had in my coaching career with a team. And our seniors showed incredible maturity. As I watched their graduation, a couple weeks ago, it was very bittersweet because I was so, I admired them that for what they had done, squeezing an entire semester down into, whatever it was, 6 weeks or whatever. And so I admired them. I was proud of them and their assignments that they're going to be going into, in June next month. And yet sorrow and regret that they missed their entire season. And, just to kind of look at the outdoor track season, we hadn't even started it, right? We were at the indoor NCAA championships, and baseball got to play 19 games of their season, and lacrosse, fortunately, got to play 7 of their 15 games. And our outdoor track, we didn't get at one meet. And I feel really I feel so bad for somebody like the javelin throwers who they don't get to throw indoors, thankfully. Might break something, but I felt so bad. Parker Spearman, 2-time conference runner-up, Bailey Ishler, team captain, those guys never got a chance to throw the javelin their senior year. And again, other sports maybe got a little taste of their outdoor season. Granted, they were just as disappointed as we were, but for those guys, for the 10,000 meter runners, the steeplechasers, the 400 hurdlers that don't get a shot indoors, it was just uh, additionally frustrating.
So did you get the sense, though? It sounds to me like from what you said that they kind of shifted fairly quickly into, okay, well now I'm going to be an Air Force officer and I'm ready and I need to train and be ready to do my
That,
job.
that is absolutely what I sense from it. And again, this is tremendous maturity, and although we weren't allowed to meet with them as a group, we met with small groups of them, pairs of them, met with some of them individually in the coming weeks. I was just amazed at their maturity and their responsibility. They're going out into big Air Force, and they were excited about that. And yes, sad to lose their season. Some of them might get another opportunity somewhere down the road to run, jump, or throw, but just they're amazing individuals. That the way they adapted, they were so resilient.
Um, the athletes that will be coming back, your juniors, your sophomores, um, how are you keeping contact with them? And do you have, I'm sure your conditioning coaches and everybody, do you have them on a program? How can they do it? Some of them can't even get out of their house. So how's that all working, I guess?
Yeah, we started putting them on a program. Um, we've been communicating with them on Zoom and Teams and Group Me. Different event groups have used Group Me, and just emails. I always send out a weekly team bulletin during the season, and they become more bi-weekly team bulletins now. There's not as much to report, and and then we're calling them. I call 3 or 4, every couple nights, just to check up on them and see how they're doing, and see what they're how they're doing academically, and seeing what their emotional state is, and just trying to stay in touch with them. When we first started, by giving them some workouts, and then we decided a couple weeks ago that um, we felt like with 9 months before they have a track meet, or cross country runners with 5 months before they have a cross country meet, 1st of September, we felt like we needed to kind of drop back and punt, so to speak, and let them be creative and innovative and designing their own workouts. Many of them can't get to gyms, can't get to tracks. They don't have hurdles, vaulting pits, and so on available to them. And we don't want them getting stale as we get into our summer program and our fall training program. So we kind of drop back, and we're not giving them specific workouts right now. And as I talk to them on the phone, I'm finding that they're finding creative and innovative ways to train and keep fit, and so I've never been so excited about a season, an upcoming season, this far out. Usually the season ends in mid-June, and you have July and August to kind of chill, and then they come back the first week of August. You start to get excited, and I'm already biting at the bit for the 2021 season.
Yeah, I also know that you were probably chomping at the bit for this outdoor season. So that would pretty much be happening, or would have happened this past week or this week. And so, where do you what are you doing with yourself? Because you've
Yeah,
always been coaching this time.
yeah. What's kind of funny is that I mark my calendar by meets that I'm missing. We were to go to San Diego State the last week in March. We were to go to Mount Sac relays. Drake relays would have been a couple of weeks ago. Last Friday, I went into the office. I left the office about 5:30, and I drove by the overlook, got out of my car, looked at the track. It was about 82 degrees. It was a light tailwind blowing, and I'm thinking we'd be having our only home outdoor meet on this date right now. We'd be down there running, and I took a shot and tweeted it out and sent it to my staff. And so I gauged my calendar by meets I'm missing. Last Sunday we would have had our annual senior brunch that my wife and I host at our home, and next week we'd be getting on the Mill Air C-17 and flying to Fresno, California for the Mountain West Conference Championship. So I kind of mark my calendar that way, and I've been I'm so proud of my staff, doing a good job of keeping busy, motivated and getting continuing to recruit. Even though we can't do in-person contacts, we're calling and sending email blasts and sending individual emails and sending text messages. And we've never been so engaged at this time of the season in recruiting. And I got to tell you, so uh, last Wednesday I went fly fishing with a friend, and as I'm standing in the middle of the South Platte River, I'm thinking to myself, this is the first time I've ever fly fished in April. And that was April 29, I guess it was last Wednesday. First time I've ever fly fished in April. And I hope to get out maybe this later this weekend. It'll be the first time I've ever fly fished in May in my life.
So there's at least a little bit of a benefit. Of course, we
Yeah,
want
yeah.
it to happen again in the future. But let's start to talk about some of the success. I mean, a lot of the questions from the fans, like there were 14 all-conference recipients from the indoor season this year. What's led you to have so many All-Americans throughout all the years? We've seen, if you've been in the Cadet Fieldhouse, you've seen the rows of pictures of all of the All-Americans and the athletes have gotten all the accolades from the Mountain West and other places. What's been the key to that success, Rob?
The key is really the culture that these young men and young women have developed over the years. They've created it, they've produced it, they've maintained it, they've defended it, and it's a culture that's pretty amazing. Really, they mutually support each other, male and female alike, men's team and women's teams together. Sprinters supporting the distance runners supporting the field eventers, and all vice versa. And so it's a culture of mutual support. It's a culture where they challenge each other with their work ethics. It's just been a culture that's developed over the years, and it goes back to really the first teams that I had back in the early 90s, and it's all built on what those individuals built. The culture, and each new group of seniors and each new group of team captains seems to build on that and develop it. And in my first meeting with the team captains every year, I challenge them that, hey, you have to fiercely defend the culture of this team, and they do, and they build on it. And this year's seniors in particular, I think every underclassman that we have right now that we're just finishing their freshman, sophomore, and junior years have to have tremendous admiration for the seniors that just graduated, and the culture that they built and what they were able to do.
Yeah, that's amazing that you can get these people. So let's talk a little bit about recruiting and how do you find? I mean, because it takes a special kind of person to want to make that culture, and obviously, or even want to join that culture now because you've had that culture for such a long time. So with how difficult it is to get people admitted into the United States Air Force Academy, can you explain some of the unique challenges of recruiting and still fielding a championship team?
When we look for a recruit, I mean, the first thing we have to do is look for somebody that can run fast, jump high, and throw far. But we also look at character, and we really zero in recruiting on young men and young women that really want to be at the academy. And so when they come on a campus visit, we show them everything. We don't hide anything from them, and they see. And they may be there on a weekend when we have a Sammy, and they're staying in the dorms, and they're seeing up close and personal what a Sammy's all about. But they also see how our team pulls together, and they see that team culture. And we want young men and young women that want to be part of that culture. And it just has perpetuated itself through the years. We've learned how to recruit. We don't feel like we're limited academically in who we're recruiting. There's a lot of great athletes out there that really have good academic backgrounds, skill sets, and actually our biggest problem has been some of the medical disqualifications when we've got somebody with great grades who runs really fast, and we find out they've got a peanut allergy, or something that would be a disqualifier, asthma, migraines. That would be and those have been our biggest challenges. But we don't see that the academics is really a challenge. And I really love the recruiting piece, because I love sitting across a table from a young man or young woman who's a high school senior, and seeing how genuinely interested they are in the academy, and then trying to build on that.
Kind of playing off of that question, another question is probably, I don't know, maybe from a grad, but the people in the outside world, they don't understand. They think Air Force Academy, and a lot of times they see Air Force when you go out to a meet and they think, oh, it's just another university like Colorado State or like Fresno State or something like that. But you guys, every athlete here also has to do military training as well as the academic side. So you're adding a third tier to something that some of those other schools don't have. Can you speak to that and maybe describe what you think is the most challenging aspect of being a student athlete at the Air Force Academy?
I don't look at it as a challenge. We try to get our team members to buy in that it's an opportunity. And I was watching. This has been several years ago. I was watching Nick Saban's introductory press conference at the University of Alabama, and Nick Saban said, "We expect our team members to be champions at everything." And I thought, wow, that's exactly what we do. We're all about excellence in all we do. It's one of our core values, and so we emphasize the academic piece, and we want our team members to be terrific cadets in the squadron militarily and take leadership positions, and we want them to have tremendous success academically, which we've got a great history of academic All-Americans and Mountain West Conference Scholar Athlete medallions and so on. But we want them to be champions at everything, and so maybe hope we've done a better job than that than even University of Alabama football. But I always tell the team, I say, I don't have any original ideas. I've stole something from everybody. Just this morning, I've been watching all these documentaries about Don Shula, and I'm thinking, wow, that's what we do. I learned that from him, and so we try to be champions at everything. So we take a challenge and we try to make it an opportunity. And I think our kids take pride in that they're not just athletes, they're cadet student athletes that want to excel academically, militarily, as well as athletically. And we love them. We love them when they really have this burning desire and passion to be successful athletically. I mean, those are the most fun ones to coach. And but yeah, this champions at everything thing. All of our team members buy into that, and our coaches do too.
Yeah. That being said, that's a lot about recruiting. So I'm sure the class of 2024, the athletes you have coming in, you probably can't speak about them specifically, but I guess what can you speak to in regards to expectations from the class of these cadets that'll come in June?
Yeah. So you learn when you coach at the academy, and any coach, Troy Calhoun, Kaz, Coach Scott, would tell you that you can't judge a recruiting class at the academy until they become juniors. So you got to wait a few years. But on paper, the recruiting class, the USAFA class of 2024 that'll be coming in, hopefully sometime, in a few months, a month or two, on paper is the best recruiting class we have ever had. It's absolutely dynamite, amazing, high character young men and young women, good students, and some amazing athletes across the board in all events: sprinters, hurdlers, middle distance runners, vaulters, high jumpers, horizontal jumpers, throwers. It's a well-rounded class. We're so excited with them. We really just finished off the class in the last couple of weeks, with the help of admissions and Trapper and Jake and guys like that in our athletic department that are liaisons to admissions, and really just finished it off. And it's an amazing class. And we also have an amazing class coming into the prep school that we're excited about. And we hope that when they become juniors that we're able to look back and go, yeah, that was an amazing class. And the other thing that's kind of exciting, and I can't mention any names obviously, but we've got some offspring of some of our former team members that I coached a long time ago. And that's always kind of fun.
Absolutely. It sure is. We got a fun question here for you. I believe from an alum. Unfortunately, I don't have the name to go with it, but it says, as a proud member of your very first team at USAFA. I would like to know what it is about the place that's kept you there all this time. We see all this time, over 30 some odd years. What is it now, Ralph?
Well, interesting I'd like to know who that came from, but
Yeah.
uh, interesting that comes from one of the first members, because that first team that I had in the spring of 1990, I came in the fall of 1989. They taught me about the academy, and I didn't know that much about the academy. I was intrigued by it. Um, I was certainly excited to take the position, but nervous, no background in the military, and they taught me. Those team members. I remember vividly some of the team captains, and they taught me about the academy, and about its mission, and about its values, its core values, about what they were going to do in life. And I just fell in love with that, Brian. I've always looked at it. It's my privilege. It's a tremendous privilege to coach at the Air Force Academy, and I've got very close friends that coach at Power Five institutions. Some of them that tell me, Ralph, sometimes I think you got the best job in America, and you know what? I think I do, and I wouldn't trade it uh, to be at a place where I could win NCAA championships and titles year in and year out. I love this institution. I love its leadership. I love the kind of people that I get to coach with. I have so much admiration for Troy Calhoun, Mike Kozlowski, Doug Hill, George Corey. I have so much admiration for those guys, and I have good memories of Joe Scott. We had some common acquaintances who were track coaches from his Princeton days. I'm looking forward to seeing him again, and it's a privilege, to coach at this institution, and I just wouldn't trade it for anything. I love the mission, and I love the values, and I'm so excited that what these 17 seniors that we had and what they're going to be doing in Big Air Force here next month.
Attitudes like yours, Ralph, that we need more of. It's amazing to me that a lot of our coaches feel the exact same way, and I'm glad that they do, because the United States Air Force Academy puts out not just leaders, but while they're there, they're also great student athletes as well. And I think that you among others do an outstanding job. Thanks for the time today, Ralph, and I appreciate you making this opportunity to answer some questions from fans and alums.
Great. Thank you, Brian. And everybody stay healthy out there.